Nitin Nabin is now officially the BJP president after being elected unopposed. A 27-year-old IT professional fell to a tragic death in Noida after his car fell into an open, deep construction pit. In Bareilly, 12 people were detained by the police for offering Namaaz in an unoccupied home. And the back and forth between the ICC and the Bangladesh Cricket Board over whether Bangladesh will play cricket matches in India continues. With me today to talk about all of this, I have senior journalist Javed Ansari and the Wire's political editor Ajoy Ashirwad Mahaprashasta. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Pleasure being here.
So earlier this week, Nitin Nabin officially became the new BJP president. This is not much of a surprise because there was no other candidate in the fray. He was elected unopposed. In December, he had already been made the working president of the BJP. And this came after reports of a lot of internal struggle within the party. And this was shown by the fact that this election was extremely delayed. The term of the previous party president, JP Nadda, ended 18 months ago. Now, Nabin is a political dynast. His father was also a BJP MLA. And when he was made working president, Prime Minister Narendra Modi complimented him on being a young and an industrious leader. But others may have perhaps been surprised by this choice because he's not one of the BJP's big faces. He's not someone who's very well known in the public. And Ajoy, I know you've written about this, that this lack of national influence, lack of being a very big public figure is perhaps why he was chosen. So can you talk a little bit about that and also about what the role of the BJP president has become over years?
Yeah, so Jahnavi, what I've been following the BJP for the last few years, and what for me choosing Nitin Nabin wasn't so much of a surprise because it has become almost a habit for the Modi Shah duo to spring a surprise every time. But the BJP president itself, so he's another low profile leader, a step down from even JP Nadda, who when he was appointed or elected the BJP president, he wasn't known to be a national leader either. And Nitin Nabin is another step down because now he's an MLA from Bihar, Bankipur, who has been elevated to these things. So the messaging is clear from the BJP side. They want to spin it as that in a party like BJP, where Modi and Shah are taking all the decisions, even an ordinary worker can be elevated to the topmost position. But if you see on the other hand, this choosing another low profile leader it will again go on to cement Modi Shah's reign in the party, almost centralize the whole idea of centralizing the party and consolidate power in the hands of two leaders, which is Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, is now more than evident. You see all the top leaders have been sidelined. LK Advani or Murli Manohar Joshi were the first lot. But even the popular CMs like Shivraj Singh Chauhan or Vasundhara Raje Scindia, B.S. Yediyurappa, these people have also been either sidelined or Shivraj Singh, he's been kicked upstairs and he has no public profile right now. And it's a series of events in the BJP where leaders like Nitin Nabin are either kind of elevated to topmost positions, or people with absolutely no experience like Bhajanlal Sharma or Mohan Yadav, Vishnudev Sai or Mohan Manji in Odisha. These people have been suddenly made chief ministers without any power. So the whole centralizing aspect of BJP has come to fore like nothing before with the appointment of Nitin Nabin. That is how I feel.
I wanted to ask you about this also. Ajoy is talking about the centralization within the party. But we have some important elections coming up, and these are in states where the BJP does have some faces that are quite well known, quite big. There's Adityanath in UP, there's Himanta Biswa Sarma in Assam. So in a situation like this, what kind of power do you think Nabin is going to wield? Is there going to be any?
Look, this is in keeping with Mr. Modi's style of functioning. He always pulls a rabbit out of a hat. He always pulls out people who are relatively unknown. I do not know of one BJP leader or any journalist, and I'm underlining this, who had prior knowledge that Mr. Khattar would be made, or any of the other chief ministers that we've named. Only two people know. First the Prime Minister and then Mr. Amit Shah. As far as whether whether he'll be his own man, I doubt very much. The political heavy lifting will be done by the Prime Minister and Mr. Amit Shah, even with when my good friend Mr. Nadda, when he was the president. All the decisions were taken in his name. He signed. But everything had to be run past and rubber stamped by Prime Minister and Mr. Shah. So all the nuts and bolts, the fine tuning, everything, all the major political decisions were being taken by these two. Especially as far as the party is concerned, it's the Prime Minister doesn't get his hands dirty, doesn't get that involved as Mr. Shah does. Mr. Shah very much so. If you recall during the Bihar elections, when there was some trouble in the alliance, or let's say when the alliance was not functioning as smoothly as it ought to have, he went and stayed put in Patna. He pushed all the buttons, galvanized the cadre, galvanized all the leaders, and he ensured that everything ran smoothly. So all Mr. Nabin has to do is just stay the course. These two will do the heavy lifting, and even if and when he needs advice, all he has to do is look over his shoulder and they'll be there. It's quite so. They, whatever spin they can give it, and I don't blame them for giving a spin, because when you've taken a decision, you need to justify it. So saying, he's a young man, and it goes to show that it's only in the BJP where an ordinary worker can be elevated to the post of the president and all that. But the fact is that they run a very tight ship. All the powers, the levers of power are under their control, whether it's in government or in the party. It's as simple.
Yeah. Related to this, one of the things the BJP has said it prides itself on in the past, perhaps not so much recently, but is intra-party democracy. But this was very clearly a selection, not an election.
There's never been an election.
Correct, and that's what I was going to come to, that this has been the case basically since 1980. So is this intra-party democracy only on paper, or is there some other way in which perhaps we're not able to see it, that it exists?
That's for external consumption. There are a lot of things in politics which are set for external consumptions. This is one of them. The BJP has never had an election. I can't recall. If somebody can educate me, I'll be only too happy. But I can't recall a time when there was an election in the Bharatiya Janata Party there. Yes, what does this show is that there was initially the delay in selecting the new president happened because the RSS and Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah couldn't come to an agreement on a name. There was talk of Mr. Joshi but eventually they appear to have reached a compromise, and the Prime Minister has gone out of his way publicly to mollycoddle the RSS as well. He praised them from the ramparts of the Red Fort, which is a bit unusual, but nonetheless he did that. So some damage limitation has been done, and now all is well, and Mr. Nabin is one example of that.
Would you agree, Ajoy, that all is now well in this BJP RSS?
Of course,
Symbiotic
all
relationship.
is well as far as showing outcomes are concerned, because under the centralizing impulse of Mr. Modi and Shah, they have managed to win many elections, and I think for this BJP, elections are the only end game and not governance, because on the governance front or they haven't been able to show their mettle at all. But what with this centralizing tendency of the two top leaders of BJP, when you speak to some of the leaders in the states from the BJP or some of the older leaders, they constantly talk about the BJP's parliamentary board, which even if the election for the president did not happen, it happened through a consensus, some kind of consensus building process, and there is absolutely all of those consensus building processes have been buried under this leadership of the current leadership of the BJP. The BJP's parliamentary board, many of the senior journalists who have been covering BJP, they'll tell you how the BJP parliamentary board meetings were a vibrant exercise where leaders differed from each other, they gave their opinions, all of those things. We still see those things in the Congress where Digvijay Singh would come probably which was recently in news, would give a suggestion, other leaders would disagree, and BJP was at one time, people who covered the BJP, they said that it was a much more, the inter-party democracy was much more vibrant in the BJP in while taking decisions. All of those things have been buried under the carpet right now, and there is only one man rule here, and which was so evident when Nitin Nabin was actually last week formally appointed as the president, although Mr. Modi came and said that Nitin Nabin is the boss and he is just an ordinary worker. The optics of it was completely different. Mr. Modi gave a 49-minute speech and Nitin Nabin gave only a 20-minute speech. And in his speech, the new president only praised Modi and he did not have much to say about what he would probably do for the party in his tenure, and it was all about brand building exercise of Mr. Modi, and that is what he wanted. Nitin Nabin is hardly anyone in Delhi also knew him, and in Bihar, from where he comes, within the BJP, he doesn't exercise much influence either. He has been an organizational person in Chhattisgarh, but there was, as Javed said, that how all these the decision making in election are managed by mostly Mr. Shah and Modi, while these people, you have these trusted people around you who are there to implement, and because of which in the last one year, when there were so many speculations about who will be the next BJP president, there were various names: Bhupendra Yadav, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. All of these people were either Mr. Sanjay Joshi was also supposed to be with RSS, wanted him to take some kind of official position. All of these people had some sort of an independent standing. All of them have been sidelined, and now Mr. Nitin Nabin is the president. So this shows what the current BJP is now, and there is no second line of leadership of which can be properly called a credible second line of leadership, barring these two people. There are no ministers, MLAs, MPs. They don't wield any sort of power or independent decision making, prowess. So this is what it is.
I want to move now to our second topic of conversation, which was that last Friday night, a 27-year-old IT professional, Yuvraj Mehta, was driving to his home in Noida from his office in Gurgaon late at night. It was a foggy night, and he met with a very tragic accident and died when his car fell into a very large and deep construction pit that was full of water. The pit had a very low boundary wall, there were no reflectors, no warning signs. After the car fell in the water, he managed to climb out of it onto the roof of the car while it was sinking and call his father, who then immediately called the authorities, and him and rescue workers and many other bystanders reached the site. But apparently the rescue workers did not have the resources that were required on this dark, cold night to try and get him out. For 2 whole hours, people could hear him calling, waving the light of his phone, after which he tragically drowned. And then it took a whole 5 hours for heavy machinery to be able to get his body out of the pit. Now, this death has led to protests at the site and a lot of anger, because apparently this is a site that has been dug up for a few years now, and then abandoned by whatever company was dealing with it. And residents say they have complained about it, said this is a safety hazard, and nothing has been done. The Noida police have now registered an FIR against the real estate developers, and 5 builders have been arrested. But I wanted to say, in a situation like this, some action has been taken, 5 people have even been arrested, a case is ongoing. But where should accountability lie and where should it stop?
Apparently, the CEO of Noida has also been he's been suspended. But all this is post the tragedy, no? What happens? What will it bring back that young man's life? I mean, how do you? I mean, he must. I'm sure he has a family. He has parents. I'm not sure if he was married or not, but he meant. So, I mean, what happens to this? Today is this. Today is a young techie. Tomorrow it might have been some poor laborer. Could have been. And there has to be accountability. Who gave that permission? Who was supposed to? I mean, under whose jurisdiction does this area fall? Aren't people, those in authority, those in power, or the Noida authority, they're supposed to monitor these things? You know, if there is a unmanned pit and there's a huge water body right next to the road, the least basic uh, civic amenities ought to be there. No, you need to put up signages. You need to forewarn people. Nobody has an idea in this fog, and you 6 centimeters left or right, and you can meet with a disaster. So the fault lies with them. Why didn't they? And did okay? If they didn't, they should have pulled up the contractor or whoever that builder was, whose site it was, and got him into do the needful. This happened a week ago. You just take a round of Noida or Delhi or Gurgaon where all the construction work is going. Has anything changed? Have signages come up? Is there anything to indicate or forewarn people that there's a sharp curve happening here? The other day I was driving to Lucknow or driving back from Lucknow, and we needed to take a diverge to take a turn. There were three roads, which are turning left. I took because there were no signages, so we didn't know whether we had taken the right one, and I had to drive all the way about 14 kilometers up ahead, and then we realized and took a U-turn and came back. So, I mean, this was just a waste of time. But here, this poor man paid with his life. So these basic things have to be ensured, and it's the administration, the local administration, the Noida administration, in this case, ought to have done their job, ought to have done their homework, which they didn't do.
Yeah. Ajoy, one of the other questions that's also been raised is that this is happening literally right outside the national capital. I mean, we've had such a large infrastructure failure. So, what do you think this says about what's perhaps happening in the rest of the country?
Yeah, rest of the country. While Jahnavi, the death we are talking about is one of the most tragic deaths we have ever seen. It was like, imagine a father, trying to rescue his child for 90 whole minutes with the help of authorities, at all while the person dying is crying for help. So this nothing can be more tragic than this, when so many firefighting was there, the State Disaster Response Force was there, the National Disaster Force also reached later, the police was there, none of them could save this person for 90 minutes. Yeah. So it exposed a lot of things. It exposed so many things, because if these disaster response teams, what kind of capacity do they have? We have teams for all of them. I know for a fact that the Odisha and the Kerala disaster response teams are very professional, and they are used to, and the government there, they have empowered these teams because of their constant need to meet disaster response, because of the frequency of natural disasters. But what happens in a place like NCR, in other places? So what has happened? So we don't know, and no one is asking these questions, that these disaster response teams, are they doing well or not? Are they funded well or not? Are they trained well or not? Same is that no one is also talking about how much budget do they have for in various states, about how to get trained and get better infrastructure in a situation like these, because this death, as I live in Noida, and this death I feel was kind of, this kind of an accident was waiting to happen. And we saw also how one of the truck drivers also escaped death at the same site. So what has happened in Noida is this is just one of those empty pits. You go across Noida, you see unfinished infrastructure projects everywhere, private infrastructure. There are open drains all over, very deep ones where spikes, the iron rods are coming out. Anyone going for a morning walk, if he is hit by even a scooter, can fly off and get into that drain and hit the head. And I have seen accidents where people have died on morning walks also. So these are, and no one is concerned about, because everyone, it's the whole infrastructure building, uh, you know the politics of it is based entirely on generating revenue and not people's safety at all. And what has happened in Noida is there are so many unfinished projects because the builders took the land and did not return the amount that they should have paid to the Noida authority. So so because of which, after a lot of dilly-dallying, Noida authority has barred many of these developers to bring their projects. And in this case also, you saw the original occupant developer of this site was Lotus Greens, which sold it off to another developer, and none of them are ready to take accountability, because they say that one of them is saying that, okay, we sold it off, so we have no accountability. The other one is saying that we did not get permission to start thing. But despite all of those things, the local authorities should know that this was a 30 feet deep pit which is filled with water. There have been several complaints by the irrigation department to the Noida authority, and nothing moved. As if they were waiting for some kind of accident to happen. So this is the case almost everywhere, because all the municipal authorities and city authorities are interested in generating revenue through real estate projects, and real estate has become a sort of golden goose for all these municipal authorities, where they could, show that there's some kind of development is happening. In Noida, over the last few years, what we are seeing, there are interesting new projects being launched, but the existing infrastructure which have been there for the last 15-20 years have been completely ignored. So the drains are choked, and the people, and there are various agencies, multiple authorities in charge to clean up that. If I'm just giving an example of a drain, so someone comes, opens up the drain, and then another agency comes, and which is supposed to clean up that drain, which may take another 6 months. From the opening up of drains to cleaning up the drain may take 6 months, and for these 6 months, these drains remain open. There's all of these kind of things, and everything has become just ad hoc in the pursuit to generate revenue, while people's safety is completely being ignored and they are being taken for granted. Not just this, but people's hard-earned money, who had invested in these kind of societies to get a proper flat, so they have also been left in a limbo, because these societies, these apartments are not fully developed, or have not been completed for them to move in. And so all of those things, it's all about money that matters, because in the real estate game in Noida and Gurgaon, or in Indore, or say for any of these tier 2 cities, most of the money that is coming in, most of are all investors' money. 80% of people who do invest in those flats do not intend to stay there. Only 20% people like you and me who go and pay EMIs, they intend to stay there, and they get nothing apart from bad air, or bad infrastructure, or poor roads and potholes. And this was all there to see, not just in Delhi but also in Mumbai, where recently the municipal elections happened, and every single person on TV was talking about potholes, regular flooding and people dying in those potholes, people dying in incomplete construction sites, but nothing is moving. So who has to take this accountability when we are talking about, say, Viksit Bharat by 2047, and basic people's welfare or safety is not being considered at all by any of these governments? So there's absolutely some fundamental questions we need to ask, and which we are not asking.
Moving from this situation where the authorities did not act in time to a situation in which they in fact acted extremely swiftly. It was that last Sunday the UP police detained 12 men who were from a village in the Bareilly district who were offering Namaaz in an empty house and have charged them under the BNS. The police claim that some local residents complained that these people are trying to turn this unoccupied house into an unofficial madrasa. A video of the Namaaz was shared online, and then people said that they're trying to encroach, they're trying to take over other people's property. But meanwhile, the person who owns the house has come out and said directly that she had given this permission, that there was nowhere else in the village for people to offer Namaaz, and she had offered her house, and that she has been under pressure to not allow it. So I want to ask you both about the significance, of this police action. These were people who are going about their day peacefully. The homeowner had no problem with it. But in some way, this action no longer seems surprising in the...
I was just going to interrupt
Yeah.
you. Are you surprised that this is happening?
I am...
mean, is there anything new?
Yeah.
It first happened in Gurgaon,
Yeah.
where in a park
Parking
people
lot,
used to offer. See, Friday is a congregational prayer. You can pray 5 times a day, and you can pray in the confines of your room, your house. But on Fridays, like Eid and Bakrid, also on Friday it's a congregational prayer where as many people as possible should get together and pray together. And I don't know if there is a change in the rules in the Constitution of India. I am not aware. But given my limited knowledge, there is a right to practice your religion as you deem it fit. I pray 5 times a day. I am now preparing for the hereafter, so I pray 5 times a day. I didn't know that this has become a crime. Now I'm a bit worried that if tomorrow the cops will land up, say, but you're turning this into a madrasa. A madrasa, and since when has madrasas become illegal? Is there a new law in this country which says that madrasas have become illegal? Firstly. Secondly, this was not a madrasa. There are clear visuals of people standing in rows as you perform that congregational prayer, the Jummah prayers. That was happening. So therefore, it's all right for people to take out a religious procession from Haridwar to Haryana to wherever, block roads, in some cases, get into altercation. But for others, you cannot even perform your religious prayer. You cannot even perform your prayers in the confines of your house. How does this endanger? And has anybody seen that report? Is it post facto or was it filed earlier? If it was filed earlier, then why did you allow people to congregate there? Though 10 people, if you can call it a congregation, or 15, why did you allow them to go? Somebody could have, the sensible thing that ought to have been done was somebody should have gone and told them, look, you're not allowed to pray here. Somebody has complained. End of story. Were they warned? Were they prevented? Were they served notice? Were they asked not to do this? In that case, they can be hauled up for contravening the law, for breaking well. Okay, and I go tomorrow, purely hypothetical. One of us goes and files a complaint, purely a complaint, baseless as it may be, that the Kamariya Yatris are causing a problem, endangering public safety, and you're creating nuisance. So will they take suo motu action, or will they go and inquire whether there is any truth to what I'm saying? Tomorrow I can go and file a complaint that I was the original owner of Rashtrapati Bhavan, and therefore the present occupant is illegal. The present resident is an illegal occupant. So will they act upon it? They will not, no. You need to first inquire before you just take. Where they need to take suo motu action, they don't. So I'm either, let's drop the pretense. Either you say that, look, boss, you cannot practice your religion, you cannot offer namaz, please, not even in the confines of your room. Then it's a totally different case. Change the constitution, change the statutes. But so long as the Constitution of India allows me to pray, even in a congregation, I don't see how. Right opposite at Parliament Street, within walking distance, 25 or 50 meters at most, is a mosque. Is the Fakhruddin Ali, where Fakhruddin Sahib is buried. The Parliament, it's a famous Parliament Street mosque where prayers are held. Every Friday there's a congregational prayer. That's just across the road. That's not public safety. It's across the road. Sunday you see a mosque in Bareilly is happening. So I'm sorry to say, but I don't think this is something very benign or something which is some eager beaver has just done this. There is a method to what is happening. It's purely as simple as that.
Yeah, Joy, I wanted to ask you too, what do you think this incident says about
I
you know,
don't
the
even
India we're
kn-
living in?
I don't even know how to describe this incident. Nothing, like we are talking about illegality. Nothing in that whole episode was illegal. People praying, people. There was no case of trespassing. Also, there was no disturbance of whatever of yeah, public peace. So I seriously don't know how to describe. And there's, as you said, there's it's not benign. There's a method to all of these, and there's a systematic attack, at least in North India, and now they're beginning to do the same in South India, to not just attack the faiths, Muslim faith. And now in Odisha also they have started to, even if you're going for a Sunday mass, you are being hauled up. The pastor was hauled up yesterday. He was garlanded with juto ka mala and all those kind of things and
Look what
paraded.
happened in
Yeah, there is
Lucknow
Lucknow. Yeah,
on Christmas Eve.
all of those things are happening, and they are systematically attacking livelihoods of all these people. So we just carried one piece when calling a thuk jihad or beauty parlor jihad. What are these terms? I just don't know now, more than whether there is a
Look at the
constitutional
absurdity of this term,
absurdity.
beauty parlor
Yeah, so
jihad. I
yeah.
mean, is it a crime for somebody to go to a parlor? Of course, the parlor can't work its magic on people like me. But, I mean, beauty parlor jihad, what is this?
And misuse of law. And I think we need to ask like fundamental questions, because this is not happening. We every day we are seeing some or other in one corner of the country have something absurd happening like this, and where uh, just praying may lead to disruption of communal harmony. Serving, say, in a hotel serving halal meat leads to a case where it endangers public safety or disrupts communal harmony. How does it? People seriously need to ask, how does it? So the restaurant which has been around for last 50 years have been serving the same meat, same fish, and suddenly there is a government which comes, and the police guys who come and says that okay, this halal meat that he's serving is disturbing. Only the police and the government thinks that it disturbs communal harmony, not the regular people in India who had absolutely no issue eating there, or the restaurant existing there. So it is suddenly they are trying what there's a systematic political attempt to kind of disrupt communal harmony by the government itself. So and to keep this Hindu Muslim polarization alive all the time, and filling hate in the whole air of India. And this is what has there has been their political strategy all this while, which has also helped them deflect attention from many failures of the government. But this will really become something which we seriously need to introspect. It has already become a monster. What shape it will take in another few years if this goes with people not speaking up at all against these kind of incidents, I seriously don't know. So if we want to remain independent, modern, or constitutional state, I seriously don't know what will happen. Every day, like today only, I was seeing in Odisha. Odisha was relatively during Naveen Patnaik's regime. It was really we did not hear, and every day now there's lynching which has happened last month. A pastor was paraded. Every day some Christians are being attacked because already ever since the BJP has come to power in 2024, there have been already 12 major riots in different parts of communal riots in. So why is it suddenly that BJP comes to power and these riots and these kind of Sanatan traditions have, so they feel attacked? So I seriously don't understand. So
Moving now to the final topic I wanted to talk about today, which is that the International Cricket Council has now publicly and officially said that it has denied the Bangladesh Cricket Board's request that the T20 World Cup matches it was supposed to play in India be moved to Sri Lanka. The Bangladesh Cricket Board has responded by saying that it's going to keep reiterating this request. It doesn't want to play matches in India. And so this has now cast a doubt about whether Bangladesh or how Bangladesh is going to participate in this T20 World Cup at all. Now, Bangladesh asked for these matches to be moved after the BCCI told Kolkata Knight Riders that it had to drop one of its players, which is Bangladeshi bowler Mustafizur Rahman, from the IPL team. And this was after a lot of online pressure, online trolling around this issue, saying that how can you hire a Bangladeshi at a time when Hindus are allegedly being attacked on a wide scale in Bangladesh. Now, citing this action, the Bangladesh board had said that if one player can't play in India, that means Bangladeshi players are not safe in India, and so citing security concerns, we don't want to play World Cup matches here. Javed, I know you're a keen follower of cricket, so I wanted to ask you about how you're reading the situation. This is not cricket, but it will affect cricket.
Yes, it will affect cricket, and I'm afraid if India, our board, the BCCI, is acting in the manner that the Australian and the English cricket board used to act at the time when they were rolling the rules. We were the ones who were protesting, and then we joined hands with Pakistan and Sri Lanka and outbid them, turned the tables on them, and all this happens because we have a stranglehold over the ICC, and that's because 65% of the revenue is generated from India.
Yeah.
So
and the chair is currently the Union Home Minister's son, Jaisha.
The Union Home Minister's son. The BCCI has Mr. Mithun and Manas, a former cricketer, but we know where the power lies. We know who calls the shots. And okay, if there was something wrong in this gentleman, Mr. Rahman, why was his name put up in the pool of players that were being auctioned? Why was it? Whose fault is it? Why did the IPL body or why did BCCI put up those names? You should not have. I get the distinct impression that this has been done with an eye on West Bengal polls. They just want to keep the pot boiling, push all the buttons, keep the pot boiling in one form or the other till those elections are over. And I won't be surprised the next IPL, Rahman and a few others will be back to playing. Could be back to playing in India. From whatever I gather before coming to the studio, I was just checking. I think Bangladesh has decided they will not play. The World Cup Organizing Committee has decided not to give in to the request, and therefore I think Ireland or Scotland will replace one of them. So, be that as it may, but it doesn't sound too good. It leaves a sour taste in the mouth. One. Two, look, as it is, the Pakistan Cricket Board and India are at loggerheads. Now you have the Bangladesh board. I don't know the internal politics of ACC, but there might come a time while we might be in a minority in the Asian Cricket Council. All our matches, India, Pakistan, whether it's Champions Trophy or Asia Cup or whatever, everything has to be played in Dubai. Yeah. So yes, we are the ones who are supplying the money, so therefore we can call the shots. But at some point of time, this will rebound, and this is certainly not cricket. IPL will go on, irrespective of whether Bangladeshi players play or not. There's enough and more for the crowds to keep flocking the stadiums, for advertisers and for corporates to advertise and pour in money. All that will happen. But the way things are being done, the way things are being handled, this sledgehammer approach, once or twice it works. But this cannot become your stock delivery, since we are talking cricket. This cannot be your go-to delay for every batsman. They say you can't bowl the same delay. You can't keep acting the same way. They need to be a lot more careful. They need to do it with greater deftness and take people along. It's not the end of the world. Somebody could have had a quiet word in the year. At the very first instance, should never have put up his name. But then again, this is not cricket. This is politics. People who are managing the state of affairs, managing the affairs, running the ICC and running BCCI have very little to do with cricket. Right. My heart goes out to all my sympathies are with Mr. Mithu Manas. But poor guy, he has no power. Just as poor Raja Bini had very little power. I had a long conversation with Mr. Raja Bini. I met him once. I was waiting to catch a flight, and he came and sat in front of me. And I was reading something. Suddenly, my eyes. I saw him. I went and started chatting with him. Soft spoken. I asked him something. He says, "Oh well, we'll have to find out and let you know." You can understand his predicament. So these cricketers, when they are put up in, it's just for show. The real shots, the power lies somewhere else, and somebody else was calling the shots.
Before Mustafizur Rahman was released, the whole online trolling that Kolkata Knight Riders and Shah Rukh Khan had to face, that itself is so much telling. He's already said it's nothing but mixing politics with cricket and the current politics, which is an anti-minority politics. So is will do nothing but harm India's cricket interest. And what the ICC is doing, what the BCCI did with the Bangladeshi cricketer now, is nothing but the classic bully syndrome. As now it's supplying the money, so it thinks it can do whatever. None of these small boards, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or not even Australian board is being treated as an equal. So, and this is kind of really disastrous because what he was talking about, the English cricket board, how they used to bully other boards, and it was like all these colonial, once colonial countries identified cricket as, that symbolic game in which the colonial powers can be challenged, the West Indian team or the Indian team, and all those history is being, kind of reversed through this kind of majoritarian bully and money syndrome. So this is what, but the larger thing is also uh, is every time, like when you're mixing all these kind of what has happened over the last few years, that it's not just cricket. The film industry, which had a lot of international stars, Pakistani artists participating here, or other cricketers coming here, so all of these things are being stopped, and they are given some kind, and it's organized in such meticulous ways that it seems like socially legitimate to call for boycott of Pakistani artists, or or boycotting Bangladeshi cricketers when they have nothing to do with the killings of the Hindus in Bangladesh. So it seems like they're making it sound as if it's all socially and politically legitimate to boycott. But how the other countries are, it's almost established that India is being seen as a bully, at least in the world of cricket. And many commentators, international commentators, if you read them, they are constantly talking about how India is, bulldozing its way through the world of cricket. And so this is how it will impact, since everything has become commercial, so it has become commercial. But I am just like kind of the whole track too, when when these relations between the governments are not that well. Historically, we've seen track two exchanges are being kind of have always been promoted so that people to people exchange.
Forget track two, even
Yeah,
medical visas are not
yeah,
allowed now.
medical
I have
visa.
a friend, a classmate of mine from
Yeah.
school. He's one of the leading cardiothoracic pediatric surgeons. He's the doctor who actually operated on baby Noor, if you remember, the
Yes.
Pakistani girl. And they used to give, he had a lot of patients coming in from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, and all this. And that was a soft power, soft moral power that you had. He once went to Lahore and he was feted. He was sitting with General Musharraf in the presidential box and watching that India Pakistan match. That was, and you ask him, Dr. Rajesh Sharma is very famous and exceptionally talented doctor. And he'll tell you, his lament is that this soft moral power that we had, we've just forgone that.
We just sacrificed all, and we're taken. People are being taken for a ride. 2 years ago, we were all asked to boycott China. Chinese products everywhere online. You see, oh, you will not buy this company, that company, and suddenly now China has almost become such a good friend that the Chinese Communist Party delegation is visiting the BJP headquarters here, visiting the RSS fellows here. They are being given a warm welcome now that the situation has changed. So in all of this, like this kind of double standards, people are being taken for a ride, and that is my problem. That today we are asked to do something, and after 2 years we are asked to do completely opposite, and we have a new agenda and a new enemy at in sight. So
Yeah. And we'll have to wait and see how this actually plays out when the T20 World Cup takes place. That brings us to the end of our show for today. Thank you both so much for joining me, and thank you all for watching.